Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is yours true Saints podcast where we talk New Orleans Saints. And this is a live edition. I decided to go live on YouTube on tonight because earlier today I went live on Facebook. And I usually do like random little pop-ups when I'm having, a little bit of downtime at the station. WLGI where I work at in South Carolina. Normally I go live on Facebook on my lunch breaks and I answer questions from people who follow the State of the Saints podcast on Facebook. But since the season has started, I've mainly been going live on YouTube. So just wanted to give people on Facebook a little love as well. And much love to each and every one of you that are filing in right now. Thank you all very much for taking your time out on your Friday to hang out with your boy, man. It's Friday the 13th. It's around 11:30 out here in South Carolina. So I know Friday night is people party night, going out, hanging out with the fellas or hanging out with the girls. So thank you for hanging out with yours truly. This is basically just a Q&A. It's nothing special about this edition. I gave people the opportunity on Facebook to ask questions about the New Orleans Saints. So I want to give my YouTube supporters love as well and answer some of the questions that you may have for me, or if you have any comments that you want to make, feel free to do so on the Facebook edition, and I also uploaded it on YouTube so you can check that out. You probably watch the Facebook live video that I posted to YouTube. Some of this stuff that I'm probably going to be talking about is going to be kind of similar, probably because I was talking about it earlier, and there's some hot topics dealing with the New Orleans Saints. One topic was about Minkah Fitzpatrick. Everybody's been talking about Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's no surprise that the Miami Dolphins players, after they got beat to sleep by the Baltimore Ravens, a lot of the players went to their agents and said they wanted to get out of there because they felt like the team was tanking. And so they want to try to go and request trades. And one of the people that wanted a trade was Minkah Fitzpatrick, and the Miami Dolphins franchise gave him the okay to go out and seek a trade. And a lot of people have been asking me, should the New Orleans Saints try to pursue Minkah Fitzpatrick, black and gold? And if so, what do the Saints have to give up in order to get him? And I just think that with the skill set of a Minkah Fitzpatrick and how much he means to the Miami Dolphins on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be tough to trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's going to be a tough one right there. The only person, since the last live I did on Facebook, I've really been doing some thinking. The only thing I feel like the Saints have comes to leverage if the Miami Dolphins want an offensive lineman like an Andrews Pete. I think that's probably the only person that I feel that the New Orleans Saints will want to give up for Minkah Fitzpatrick, or maybe a draft pick at Andrews Pete. I mean, Andrews Pete, he's in the last year of his deal, and I don't think that the Saints are going to re-sign him. That's the reason why I feel like they went out and got Nick Easton. I feel like, they got depth at the offensive line, so I think he is going to be one of those casualties, that the Saints are going to face. I don't think sign him to a long-term deal. So I would say, since he is in the last year of his deal, you can possibly trade him to the Miami Dolphins, and maybe the Miami Dolphins will be able to sign him to a long-term deal. Andrews Pete has gotten better over the years, and he is going to be a valuable asset to somebody's team, because not only can he play the guard position on the inside, he can also play left tackle. There's been several times where Andrews Pete had to step in to replace Teron Armstead when he's been out, and he did a very commendable and admirable job. So I think that if a team end up, getting Andrews Pete, they can actually move him to the left tackle position, and that means more money for Andrews Pete. And to be honest with you, I think that Andrews Pete is going to be asking for quite a bit of money just because of what I just said. The fact that he can play left tackle and he can play the guard position. And Andrews Pete isn't a slouch at either one of those positions. So if I was him, I would be telling my agent, if the Saints don't sign me back, I'll be saying, try to see if a team needs me at the left tackle position, because if you're at the left tackle position, that's one of the highest paid positions in the NFL. So if he does become a team's left tackle, he'll be able to get some of those big bucks that some of these very average left tackles are making right around this time. So if I were the Saints and I was thinking about getting Minkah Fitzpatrick, that is the only person that I would be considering trying to remove from the New Orleans Saints organization that makes sense. I wouldn't be trying to get anybody like a Davenport or anybody, in the secondary, because anybody in the secondary, for the exception of Marshawn Lattimore, teams will probably laugh at. So you're not going to get any type of leverage when it comes to the secondary. The only person, once again, I think I can think of would be Andrews Pete, and that's somebody that I feel like the Saints probably can easily just replace with Nick Easton, a guy that they signed to a 3-year deal. But enough of that. I would like to hear from you all. I'm going to be answering questions, I should say. Shouts out to everybody that is in the chat right now. Shouts out to Jerry. Jerry Poor. He ended up winning the State of the Saints podcast T-shirt. He ended up winning it. So Jerry, the shirt is on the way. So congratulations to Jerry. He was the winner of the T-shirt because he was the first person to give me the answer to the State of the Saints podcast question of the day. And also throughout the season, you're probably going to be getting more quizzes, and there are going to be more opportunities to win State of the Saints podcast merchandise. So be on the lookout for that. So you all have the floor right now. I'm going to give it to you and see what you all have to say. First off, Tyra, what's going on? Appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. Invictus, my man, what's going on? Appreciate you checking out the podcast. Drew Brees, thank you very much. I always get a kick out of you, Drew. Like, it just makes me feel like, what if Drew Brees was really listening, looking at this podcast right now? That would be pretty dope, man. But thank you very much, Drew. Jerry, man, thank you very much for being a part of the podcast too. Big Ed, Greg CTC, what's going on? Shouts out to you as well. So right now, I'm gonna see if anybody has any questions. Okay. Michael says depends on what we give up. I assume he's talking about trading for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I agree. I don't think you need to just go all wild and crazy trying to remove people that can be beneficial to the team. Once again, I just feel like Andrews Pete would be the most logical person to move. We need to play Gardner Johnson. That come from Greg CTC. I agree, man. I talked about it on the last podcast I did. I feel like he needs to be in that slot position. That's why the Saints ended up drafting him from the University of Florida because of his ball hawking skills. Also, he can play the safety position as well as playing the slot. So the Saints got him because he can play double roles. And I feel like the way that PJ Williams has been playing over the past couple of years, he's been a defensive liability. I feel like he's the person that needs to be removed. I think we've seen everything we're going to see out of PJ Williams. I think that PJ Williams has regressed. I don't think he's gotten any better since the first time he put on the Saints uniform. And I think it's about time for the Saints to kind of cut ties with him. I know that's pretty tough. I'm not just play by the benefit of the doubt. I think about it logically, have something to say. It is really thought out and it's not based off emotion. It's really based. Stevie Wonder, anybody can see that PJ Williams is not the answer at the cornerback position. He has gotten worse over the years. He gets beat. At least the Gardner Johnson come in and take his place. Absolutely. That's real tough. Let's see. Yeah, I agree, Jerry. I definitely agree. Once again, Gardner Johnson needs to start over PJ on Sunday. I agree with that. I think that Gardner Johnson made a mistake, running into the kicker. In my opinion, that was a ticky-tack call. Either way, I think that by them calling Rufford the kicker was some BS. But shouts out to his teammates. They seen him on the sidelines. He put the towel over his head, had his head down. But the team picked his head up, told him, man, we're going to need you the next play. So I think that did a lot for his confidence. So I think that he does need to play. He plays with a lot of passion. He's a guy that likes to fly over the field, and he has a level of confidence about himself that I like. I've seen a couple interviews with him, and I'm extremely impressed at his confidence. So I think he should play over PJ. I just think Minkah is impossible to trade for. If the Saints wanted to entertain the idea, they should have offered a second and a conditional third or fourth. Otherwise, let it go. Daquan, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's a good statement. That's a good point that you're making. But I'm not. I never like really been big on giving up high draft picks for players. I just never have, and especially like players that are coming up on contract years. I think that you can find diamonds in the rough, that you can trade for, and these guys go out here and they can produce. But in most cases, I just feel like it's better to try to draft guys that you can develop in your system, and you can basically develop guys to be what you want them to be. Not real big about giving up draft picks for players. I think a player for a player, or if you want to do a draft pick, it should be like something like a fifth or a sixth. So I don't think Minkah Fitzpatrick is worth a second round pick. Not that he's a bad cornerback. I feel like he can be productive for the Saints if they were to trade for him. But I just think that a second round pick is just a little bit too much for a guy who barely team has barely had any type of success. Even though he's been pretty consistent, I still think that's a little bit too high and too rich for my blood. Trade somebody said trade King Crawley and PJ. Man, I keep telling everybody, I keep telling everybody this. Nobody wants no Ken Crawley and nobody wants no PJ Williams. Like I don't see these guys getting traded to nobody. I said it on the last podcast. You cannot get a pack of Not Laters or a pack of grandma cookies or Famous Amos cookies for these cats, man. They have done absolutely nothing to give you any type of trade leverage whatsoever. These guys have been an absolute embarrassment on the football field. These guys have been defensive liabilities since they put on a black and gold uniform. Ken Crawley had maybe one good year. And ironically, he was playing against the Miami Dolphins when he ended up getting a starting spot, when he picked that ball off when the Saints played the Dolphins in London. But let me tell you something, man. Nobody is checking for either one of these guys. I don't think that these guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so confident that I feel like nobody wants these guys. I feel like if these men were to not get re-signed by New Orleans Saints, I think at least one out of the two won't even be in the National Football League anymore. That's how confident I am, because that's how bad they've been over the past couple years. Like, these guys cannot cover with a bed sheet, man. It is embarrassing. And nobody is going to give the Saints nothing for these dudes. Absolutely nothing. You got to come with it. Nobody is going to trade a guy who had a lot of potential like Minkah Fitzpatrick for two scrubs. Not going to happen. It's just not. Let's see. Is P-Rob hurt? No, P-Rob is not. Patrick Robinson isn't hurt. Patrick Robinson played in the game. I was telling somebody he played in a game, man. He just you just didn't hear about him. You didn't hear about him, and that might be a good thing. That might have been a good thing that you didn't hear about him. That means that he was actually doing his job. So shouts out to Patrick Robinson, man. That's all you can ask for. Is rather a guy flashes, you don't hear about him, and that's a positive thing because that means he's doing his job. Trade Crawley and PJ for Jerry, once again, that's not going to happen. Like, this guy's a good football player. Like, unless they got a bunch of fools inside of the Miami Dolphins front office, that's not going to happen. That's equivalent to the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, when Jack's mom told him to bring the cow to the market, and sell it so they can buy food. And he, instead of getting money for the cow, he got magic beans. I mean, it ended up in his favor, of course, but I mean, that's what it's equivalent for, man. Like, you basically trading a guy that is could be a potential stud in Minkah Fitzpatrick for some magic beans. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in this case, some pinto beans, some lima beans, some snap beans. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys are terrible, man. Like, ain't nobody gonna be trading for these dudes. It's just not gonna happen. Who gets the big payday next from the 2017 class? Lots of mouths need to be fed. Yep. Kamara, Lattimore, Ramczyk, Williams, Azalone, all starters. That is so true, man. And that's why the Saints are in win now mode round. That's the reason why they're trying to go all out because they know that this probably going to be their last shot. The person that I would be focused on trying to pay, in my opinion, would be Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore and Ryan Ramczyk. Those are the three guys that I'm trying to pay. You're paying Ramczyk because look what he did to J.J. Watt. I mean, this guy shut J.J. Watt down. Marshawn Lattimore, he has the potential of being a lockdown, shutdown corner, being a great corner in the league for years to come. And we all know what Alvin Kamara is. On the outside looking in, unfortunately, would be Marcus Williams. Alex Anzalone, I think that you can re-sign him because, I mean, he's a good linebacker, but he's not one of those linebackers where, he's going to be demanding a whole bunch of money because he's a steady linebacker. He isn't a Luke Kuechly. He's not a Debo Jones. He's not some of these other great linebackers, a Khalil Mack or anything like that. He's none of those guys. So keep him. Marcus Williams, I think he's going to be on the outside looking in, especially since for the past couple of years, minus his rookie season, he hasn't really lived up to the hype. I mean, he's played pretty good, but he hasn't lived up to the hype. So I think that you get a guy like a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to come in and can possibly take the place of a Marcus Williams. But you're paying Kamara, Lattimore, and Ramczyk. Those are the three guys you need to focus on. Let's see. Tyra Smith heading to LA. Are you saying that you're going to LA? Or are you just saying that you talking about the Saints head to LA? Because yes, the Saints are probably in LA right now. They left today and for their big game against the Los Angeles Rams, and they're actually going to stay on the West Coast throughout the week because they travel to Seattle. So they're going to be on the West Coast for like 2 weeks. So the Saints are going to be the West Coast Saints, man, for a couple of weeks. So those are two big games, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to the game against the Rams. The media has been eating this up, talking about the Saints going up against the team that robbed them and stuff like that, and all the Saints still thinking about their NFC Championship game and yada yada yada. Man, whatever, man. We just seen the New Orleans Saints play with so much passion against the Houston Texans. I mean, if the Houston Texan game didn't prove to you that the Saints are built for it tough, I don't know what will. I understand that you have to write these articles. I understand that you have to make sure that this news gets fed throughout the week. But let's just be real about this. We just seen the Saints in heartbreaking fashion give up 2 plays. You know what I'm saying? One to Hopkins, one to Kenny Stills, that, in my opinion, probably would have messed with the psyche and messed with the confidence of probably, I'd say, about 28, 29 teams in the National Football League, but not the New Orleans Saints. It's just something about this team that makes them special. It's something about this team that you as a fan, you just have confidence until the clock hit all zeros. So I don't know what the media is paying attention to. Probably too busy looking at the Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles to actually see something special going on in New Orleans and what type of team that this Saints team is. And they're not a team that just so focused on the past that they're not looking towards the future. And that is a potential shot at a Super Bowl. Greg, CTC, he says, what do you think we will do about our slots? Because this window is closing. They need to do something, Greg. They definitely do, man. It is time. And I talked about this on the last podcast. I talked about the secondary being together for the last 3 years. And I feel like the mistakes they have been making, there's no excuse for them. There's absolutely no excuse for guys to be getting beaten coverage the way that some of these secondary players have been doing. These guys have been playing together since they got in the league. A couple of these guys actually got into the league at the same time. They grew together. They laughed together. They cried together. All of this, man, there's no excuse for these guys to be giving up some of these big plays, pointing at each other, saying that was your man, that was your man. It's similar to a relationship. It's similar to that. It's just certain things that you know about your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, just by them looking at you, just by them, just the way they're probably breathing or, what I'm saying, the way they looking, like it's just certain things that because you're with that person for a long period of time. You understand their tendencies. And that's what I feel like the secondary needs to be. And I feel like every single year it's like we're at square one. I mean, do these guys don't hang out together? Are these guys not in the same film room? Are these guys not holding each other accountable? But because if they aren't, then they should. Because me as a fan, as much as I love the Saints, I just get sick and I get tired of watching teams every single year improve on their defense, improve in their secondary, and we're dealing with the same issues over and over again when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. The secondary being suspect, guys being put out of, taken out of position, giving up big plays at crucial parts of the game, ripping the heart out of the Who Dat Nation because guys are not in their right places. Guys thinking that they got safety help and the safety is nowhere to be found. It is embarrassing, man. And when you have the same defensive coordinator and Dennis Allen, you got the same secondary coach and Aaron Glenn, a guy who a lot of people thought that could possibly be a head coach. We thought that he was probably going to leave and go to the New England Patriots, a team that he played for when he was playing in the NFL. This guy's a well-respected secondary coach, and he's probably one of the reasons why these guys have so much confidence. But you just get tired of watching these guys get beat deep. There is absolutely no excuse. The only logical explanation that I can have is guys just will never get it. I mean, it is time to stop making excuses for this guy. Oh, he just didn't get it this week. Oh, he'll become better next week. Oh, he'll be good next week. I feel like it's time out for all the excuses and stuff. It's time out for that. It is time for these guys to step up. It's rather you need to get with it or get lost. And if you're not going to do what you're getting paid to do, then you need to find somebody else. The New Orleans Saints organization need to go out here and find a guy off the street or maybe make a trade with another team for a guy that actually can come in and you can count on to make a tackle, to make an interception, to do a pass deflection or something, because this is getting embarrassing every single year. These guys are giving up big plays with the last minute left on the clock. No excuse for that. Absolutely none. Let's see. Invictus says Dolphins brought down their asking price for Fitzpatrick to a second rounder and maybe a player depending on who they're trading with. Should they pursue him? I said it. If a second round pick, man, that's tough. Man, that's tough. Honestly, I think you have to look at the draft. I think you have to look at it. You know how you have some draft that's deep. One of the deepest drafts I've seen in quite some time probably was the 2017 draft where you actually had people like Alvin Kamara and you had people like Marshawn Lattimore. There was a lot of diamonds in the rough. You can get a guy that can produce really well in the late rounds. So that's the reason, we end up getting Alvin Kamara in the third. So that was a deep draft. I think you have to look at the type of draft that it is. If it's a deep draft, maybe, you can, second guess that. But if it's like maybe the top 15 players that go into the draft this year, those are the guys that are probably going to be the guys we talk about from years to come. And the other guys are just going to be, I guess, like little worker ants, then maybe you need to consider doing a second round pick. But as for me, in my opinion, that might be a little tough. It all depends on, how deep the draft is. But if you're going to do that, the only person I can think about is Andrews Pete. That's the only person I would feel comfortable with as a Saints fan that the Saints will give up because they got somebody that can take his place in Nick Easton. So I think that's the only person that I would be willing to give up on the Saints team. And and the fact that they lost Laramie Tunzel and they sent him to to the Houston Texans, they need somebody at the left tackle position. And like I said, Andrews Pete can play the guard and he can play the left tackle. So I think that would be a good fit. I think they would be interested in that. So Jerry says, I'm checking my mail every day. Okay, man. It should be coming. It shouldn't take that long, man. It should take maybe a couple of days, but thank you very much, man, for answering the question. It's definitely coming to you. Let's see. Drew Brees says PJ Williams need to do some Goku. He need to do something, man. He need to do somebody training. He definitely need to do somebody training, man, because man, whatever he doing ain't working, and it ain't been working for the past couple years. All right. What if we can get Ken Crawley and like Nick Easton for him? Nick Easton would help with the cap room, and Crawley. Y'all want to give away Crawley so bad, man. Crawley would give them another man at the position they are trading for. Man, I would not give up Nick Easton, man. I wouldn't give up Nick Easton. I would give up Andrews Pete. Now, Andrews Pete is going to act for too much money. Think about this, man. It's not the fact that you know how good you are, it's the fact that you free. And Andrews Pete is going to be a free agent. And somebody is going to pay top dollar for Andrews Pete. The fact that he's young, the fact that he actually can flip positions, he can play the guard and a tackle position. He is going to act for a lot of money, and his agent is going to bring that to the Saints' doorstep when it's time for him to get paid. They're going to be like, well, man, look how many times Tyron Armstead got hurt, and you asked this man to become your left tackle. Y'all need to pay him a little bit more money. So I would definitely get rid of Andrews Pete before I do Nick Easton. Nick Easton is a guy you can kind of plug in place, you know, and do a very suitable job. With Andrews Pete, man, you're gonna have to. He gonna get paid, man. Trust me. He's gonna be one of those top left tackles or the top guard being paid in free agency, man, because of his age, because of how he played over the past couple of years. Rather you thought that he played like an all pro or not, a team is going to give up a lot for him because he's young and he's pretty damn good. So I would definitely give up Andrews Pete, man, because I feel like he's going to be one of those players that a team feel like they can actually build around. You know, he's one of those guys that can actually go out there and produce, and the team feel like they can get some more bang for their buck. I think you're looking at somebody like Nick Easton. I think he may be like almost 30 years old versus Andrews Pete is maybe like 26, 27. So, I mean, you do the math. In my opinion, that's the person that I would trade. I would definitely trade Andrews Pete. PJ deep field coverage is the worst, and it's worse than Ken Crawley holding. Yeah. I mean, he just don't have any recovery speed. Once he gets beat, that's it. It's over. Like, it's no coming back from that. I mean, putting this guy on the outside, I mean, it's just, man, it's a death sentence. And if he ever just gets beat, it's just, I mean, it's inevitable that somebody is going to score. I mean, he's just not good. I mean, he's just not. I tried to get this guy the benefit of the doubt, and I actually liked him. I've been watching PJ since he was at Florida State. And when he was at Florida State, he was pretty good. But in the pros, terrible. If there was one Saint player watching this podcast daily, who do you think it would be? Honestly, if there was a player, I would say, like, I wouldn't say it's nobody popular, like a Michael Thomas or Alvin Kamara. I'll say somebody like, I don't know, like a special team player like Justin Hardy, or I don't know, Craig Robinson, or probably a former Saint player, Roman Harper, man. Roman Harper, you know, he shows me love every now and then, man. I see him like a picture or something that I put up, you know, a couple times. So I think it would be somebody like that. I don't think it would be like none of the people that we love cheering for, like a Kamara, like a Breeze or a Thomas or something like that, a Cam Jordan, nobody like that. You know, I don't think it'll be nobody that we just, you know, look at. I don't want to disrespect Justin Hardy or anything like that, but guys that we look at and be like, man, he's a bona fide superstar. So, yeah, I think somebody like Justin Hardy or Craig Robinson or something like that. But those are two guys that I actually like, man. I like Justin Hardy. I think he's one of the best special team players the Saints have had since man, it's been a while since the Saints had a player like that. Probably like what, Frank McAfee or something like that. Like, it's been a while since the Saints had like a special team ace. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that's probably a person I would think that would be looking at the podcast. But if any New Orleans Saints players checking it out, thank you very much. You know, it's nothing personal. It's just what I see. You know, I'm just an honest individual. You know, I ain't saying I got all the right answers. I'm just going by what I see. So if there are some Saints players watching this, all I got to say is who that, and thank you. And hopefully you continue to watch. players like PJ and Crawley don't have any kind of trade value. Absolutely. Crawley hasn't played since 2017, and PJ hasn't played since 2017 either. He just out there. PJ is more of a zone slot and not man to man. Remember, P Rob isn't injured. He ready. Man, like I said, we all know, man. We can keep on beating this dead horse, but we know PJ Williams is smoked turkey, man. We know what it is, man. We know exactly what it is, man. This guy get roasted like peanuts every single week. Like every week, it never fails. This guy getting roasted. Like there's certain things, like they say, that there's certain things in life that are certain debt and taxes. I'm gonna add PJ Williams getting burnt, you know what I'm saying, on a 9 route. I'm gonna put that on there. Debt, taxes, and PJ getting burnt on a 9 route. Those are 3 things in life you can guarantee gonna happen. All right. So PJ Williams and Crawley do flashbacks to the Aints era. Me cringe. Now, oh man, I'm gonna say this. I seen worse. Believe it or not, I seen worse. I still feel like Fred Thomas and Jason David are 2 of the worst cornerbacks the New Orleans Saints ever had. Look, okay, and I'll even throw in, this probably not going to be a popular opinion, but I even put Delvin Breaux in there. I mean, Delvin Breaux, he had maybe like 1 or 2 good games when he had a good game against Julio Jones, but I still can't look over the fact where this guy got beat so bad he was looking up at the sky, looking up like where the ball at. I'm like, man, I don't know. Like I had something to say about Delvin Breaux. I think I ticked him off so bad he blocked me on Twitter. Yeah, he blocked me on Twitter, man. But I mean, like I said, it's nothing personal. I could just call it how I see it. You know, I understand what the secondary is. I know the cornerback position is a up and down position. One week you looking like the hero, the next week you looking like the GOAT. But man, I'm gonna just say Jason David and Fred Thomas were like the worst 2 cornerbacks I ever seen in a Saints uniform, hands down. Trade Davenport. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with trading Davenport. I still think he has something to prove. I think that he probably just one of those slow learners. I mean, everybody doesn't wake up and the light comes on. Now, I do feel like Trey Hendrickson needs to start over him, but I wouldn't just say, he's just ready to get tossed away. I don't feel like he's a failure just yet. I just think that he just needs to develop. I just think that he needs to toughen up a little bit. I think he's a little soft sometimes. I think that he doesn't have that killer instinct all the time. I think he's too nice. You look at his interviews, he all friendly, you know what I'm saying? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we look at somebody like Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan is probably one of the funniest characters you ever gonna see, man. He's always saying something or doing something funny. But when you see Cam Jordan on the field, I mean, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Fun and games is over. But when he's in the studio, when he's working for the NFL Network, what he does when he's, not playing or the Saints have a bye week or something like that, you seeing his personality. But when he's on the field, man, I mean, he's pushing guys around. I mean, he's bullying guys. He's trying to get sacks. I mean, you need that on and off switch, but I just feel like Davenport just doesn't have it yet. I don't know why, but he needs to find it, man, because right now he's getting into that bust territory. Where's Kiko Alonso? Reginald, Kiko Alonso was on the sidelines. Wasn't a surprise that he didn't play. He wasn't with the team long enough to familiarize himself with the playbook. That's the reason why I feel like he didn't play. And I think it was a good move by the Saints. I think that it was a good move because if Kiko Alonso would have went out there and would have been out of position, we would have been having a different story right now. People would have been like, man, Kiko, man, the Saints traded for this guy. This guy sucks. What's going on? This guy not good. I like that the Saints held off on him, had him on the sidelines. They gave him an extra week to go out there and, and learn the playbook. I think you're going to see him for the first time against the Rams. I think he's going to play probably on a limited basis. I think eventually he is going to get more and more snaps as he familiarizes himself with the playbook. But right now, I don't think Kiko needs to see the field, not until he's sure and he's on the same page with the other linebackers and the defensive players in the rotation. So I like the Saints holding him out because you don't want to see him go out there and become a liability like a PJ Ken Crawley. How does Kiko fit into the equation? Safety net for when Azalona gets hurt again? No. Kiko Alonso is a good linebacker. He's one of the guys that can really play. He plays sideline to sideline. He's a sure tackler. He's a guy that can generate turnovers. He has good hands for a linebacker. He has a knack for turnovers. He can force fumbles. He was defensive rookie of the year. But he got injured in his second year. So that's the reason one of the reasons why people wasn't really talking about him. But Kiko Alonso has always been good everywhere he went. Even last year with the Miami Dolphins, he had one of his best years statistically. So I don't think it's because they need him to replace Alex Anzalone. The Saints do need depth at the linebacker position. At the beginning of the season, they had 3 linebackers that was in training camp, went on IR. But I think with this guy right here, you actually have a guy that can actually make your defense a little bit better. I mean, we all know what Demario Davis is. The guy's incredible. We know what Craig Robertson is. I feel like he's one of the heart and souls of the team. We know what Azalone is. He's a guy that's a good tackler, and he can generate some turnovers in his own right. But now you got Kiko Alonso, a guy that can fly around the field, that can make tackles and cover running backs, and somebody you can feel very, very comfortable with that will know his assignment. He's a really bright guy. He's a smart football player. So I think the Saints really got something special in him, and you're going to see it in a couple of weeks, especially when he gets to know that defensive playbook. Let's see. Darnell says, Uptown Third Ward. What's happening? Man, shouts out to the Third Ward, man. Much love to you. I'm from the Ninth Ward, but I know a little something about the Third Ward, man. I know about Uptown. You know what I'm saying? I used to catch that broad bus. You know what I'm saying? I used to hang out around Warren Easton and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I know about places like that. I went to middle school, on St. Claude Street, hung out in the 8th Ward a lot. Shouts out to everybody out that way. Respect to everybody, from New Orleans. That's my home, man. Even though I stay in South Carolina now, that's forever going to be my home. Lorraine Hansberry Elementary School, Charles Joseph Colton Middle School, Frederick Douglass for my 9th grade year, and George Washington Carver High School, where I graduated from. I even did 1 year at Dillard University before I transferred after Katrina to go to Jackson State University. So, man, that is my home, man, straight up. Anybody from New Orleans, man, stand up one time. Much love for you. I got love for everybody. I got straight love for everybody, for the exception of Old Perry Walker. I was just kidding, man. Shouts out to Old Perry Walker. Had a real rivalry. We did not like each other. We did not like the Broncos at all. And the Broncos did not like the Rams that we just didn't like. But I got love for y'all, man. Shouts out to Old Perry Walker and all the other schools in Orleans Parish, Jefferson Parish. Stand up one time. AK needs to get paid now. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna get paid right now. When he does get paid, he's gonna be the highest paid running back in the National Football League, and he deserves it. I don't want to hear anything about this whole Michael Thomas situation, and Michael Thomas don't need to get paid. I think we all can agree that Alvin Kamara deserves to be the highest paid running back when his time is up. I'm just saying, when he comes up, it is time for him to get paid. I don't want to hear no arguments. I don't want to hear about, man, he can't run between the tackles. He can't run on the outside. Dude can do it all. Dude can do it. Pay that man. I don't want to hear nothing. PJ Williams can't even cover a jar of molasses before it comes out of the container. Shandon, tell us how you really feel about him. Pay Kamara number 1, Ramczyk number 2, Lattimore number 3. That comes from Dustin. I like that order. I would just put Ramczyk first. You need an offensive lineman in order to get paid. Kamara would be next. Lattimore would be third. That is, I do agree with that. I just I would just flip your one and your two. Let me see. Not even Bobby Wagner. I would have to see. I'll have to know what you're talking about on that, Mike. If you're talking about Bobby Wagner being one of the top linebackers in the National Football League, absolutely. Bobby Wagner is the truth. Very. I feel like he really don't get talked about as much as because he's up there in Seattle, but I would put him in the top three as one top three linebackers in the National Football League right now. I'll get Fitzpatrick. I'm not mad at that. I think the Saints are in win now mode, but you have to understand. I mean, you still have to look at the future. The Saints still have to play for years to come. You know, I know we want to make sure that we send Drew Brees out on a high note, but you still got to be smart about it. You got to make sure that you're planning for the future and you won't just put all your eggs in one basket. Lattimore won't get that much. I disagree. Lattimore is going to get a lot of money. I mean, he going to get a lot of money. And I think if the Saints don't pay him, a team will pay him a lot of money for him to go to their team. Reginald says Marcus Williams can make a difference because he makes plays that bring the Saints back into games. Marcus Williams can be a difference maker. I think that this year might be the year that we actually see what he's really made out of. His first year, he had a really good year. Nobody really saw him coming. His second year, because of what happened with the Minnesota Miracle, it was a shot to his confidence. This year is when we're really gonna find out what Marcus Williams is all about. Is he a guy that is afraid to make that play, or is he a guy that isn't afraid to make that play? He can be the ball hawk that the Saints thought that they actually drafted, a guy who had those 9 interceptions throughout his career, his college career at Utah. This is the year for that. You know, there's no excuse. Like I said, they're in their third year. They're familiar with the defensive scheme, so there's no excuse. I mean, this is the year that Marcus Williams steps out of the shadows and shows that he can be one of the top safeties in the National Football League. Now, according to Pro Football Focus, he's up there. But, I mean, we can look at Pro Football Focus all day, but I like the numbers. I'm not really big on analytics. I'm big on what these two little things between my nose, on each side of my nose is. You know what I'm saying? Like my eyes. That I'm big on that. I'm big on what my eyes actually see. You know what I'm saying? So what I see is a guy that has a lot of potential, but a guy that sometimes becomes afraid and gets in his own way. So when he does get out of his own way, that's when I feel like we're going to see what Marcus Williams is all about. Darnell says it's going to be a close game. Yeah, I agree. I mean, when the Saints and the Rams play, it's always going to be a close game. I don't think no team is ever going to blow each other out. They're too much like each other. I mean, they're basically they're mirrors of one another, for the exception of quarterback play. You know, I just think their offensive weapons, they're about the same. Defense is basically the same, in my opinion. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think the Rams going to be able to run on the Saints, and that's probably going to be happening until Sheldon Rankins comes back. But I think that it's going to be an interesting contest, and I think it's going to be a hard-fought contest. Wouldn't even be surprised if this game goes into overtime. Why is everyone so negative about Davenport? He had a good game, but people only look at the stat sheets. I would say that he had an okay game. I won't call it good. I mean, I just seen a couple of plays when he was getting bullied by Larry Tunsil. I seen one play, I think it was like an instant replay. They was trying to show like Larry Tunsil blocking for Watson, and I just seen him pushing Davenport out of the way, and it seemed like Davenport was just allowing him just to move him all around. Like I just feel like there's one thing that's stopping Davenport from being an absolute beast, and that is that edge, man. I don't think that he has it. I don't think he has that switch. And if he does have that switch, it seems like it's never on. And I think he just needs to cut it on. I think we see flashes from him, but We just need to see that consistently. Rankins already got a deal last season, so he good. Sheldon Rankins, he's still dealing with that Achilles injury. The only thing I'm focused on is him coming back. I don't want to see Rankins come back until he's fully healthy. I feel like he's one of those guys that can contribute to the Saints for years to come. And I don't want to see him being pressured to come back because, guys are not being as steady as he is. I want to see this guy 100% healthy, and then he goes back out there. Even if he end up missing like 10 or 11 games this season, I'm okay with that because I want a healthy Sheldon Rankins. I want a guy that is ready to rock and roll when his number is called. I don't want to see Rankins go out there and get hurt. That would be terrible. It would be. I agree, Reginald. Williams does make plays. He does, man. Y'all seen that interception that he had, man? That was a hard play he made. Man, this guy covered like 20 yards of field. I mean, going across that field like that to make that interception, like that was pretty impressive. That's probably one of the most impressive interceptions he's had in the league. Let's see. He signed a 5th-year option, so that's up next year. Yeah, they signed a 5th-year option with Sheldon Rankins. They just picked it up, so he does need to get paid. So I don't know. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I assume Dustin, you're talking about Davenport being a total puss and he timid. Yeah, I agree, man. I won't call him a puss. He just, I don't know, man. He just got to step it up. Let's see. Kevin said they need to, but how much would they be willing to give up? The Saints may be just stuck with what they have. Man, Sean Payton always looking to improve that team. And we know that Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis will do anything to try to improve the situation that the Saints are in. I mean, they've signed guys off the street. They've cut guys in the middle of the season that wasn't producing. Like, Sean Payton is not afraid to push the button. He's not afraid to go for broke. I think we all know that. So that's not an excuse. If he felt like those guys wasn't doing their job to the best of their ability, I'm pretty sure he'll go look for somebody else. I just think that Sean Payton sometimes can be a very patient man, but we in a Who Dat Nation, honestly, our patience is really running thin with some of these secondary players. All right, here we go. We got a GM in the room. File paper, got lawyers. Trade New Orleans Saints 2020 second-round pick, cornerback Ken Crawley, cornerback Patrick Robinson, wide receiver Austin Carr for Miami cornerback. Man. The second-round pick, I can get with. Ken Crawley, man. I don't know, bro. Like, Ken Crawley, Patrick Robinson, and Austin Carr, like for Minkah Fitzpatrick. No, I don't know. That second-round pick would be appealing, but the rest of that, man, they probably would throw in the trash can. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the second-round pick, the Ken Crawley, the Patrick Robinson, Austin Carr. I don't know about that, man. That's a lot, and it's a lot, but it's a very little. Saints need to pay under the table. They need to pay under the table money to keep players. Man, look, they better not do that. They better not pay under the table. But I mean, the New England Patriots been doing it for years, right? I mean, this is how the New England Patriots been getting away with it. So we all know that Tom Brady has been taking pay cuts over the years, right? A lot of people like, oh man, what a great teammate Tom Brady is. He's taking pay cuts year after year, and that's the reason why New England can bring in this guy and that guy, and they can become Super Bowl champions every year. But what a lot of people don't, lines of different type of like towels and body spray and all kind of other sponsor. It's like they are actually paying Tom Brady for his merchandise, and and also he's taking pay cuts. So I'm pretty sure if you put 2 and 2 together, Let's just say, for example, Robert Kraft said, okay, time to have your merchandise, and us to sponsor it, we will give you $12 million, $24 million that you have for being our quarterback. So y'all do the math right there. So if you combine his salary as a quarterback, the New England Patriots actually using his products and him making a profit out of, he's ended up making. It is what it is, in my opinion. That's how they keep winning, because they always find different loopholes. They always try to find ways to get over, and that's the reason why they're so successful, because they the best cheaters in the National Football League. But I don't think the Saints need to pay under the table, because that's when you really start to get into dangerous territory that can be hurtful to the future of your team, and we don't want that, man. I mean, pay a guys a couple of dollars under the table, they end up taking them from you in first round picks. It ain't worth it, man. I like what the Saints are doing with their front office. Jeff Ireland does an outstanding job scouting players. Mickey Loomis has done an outstanding job over the past couple of years, getting guys long-term deals that can be beneficial to the team. So I like the way that they're going, to be honest with you. Saints going to make something happen, but it's going to be really hard this year. Probably the most difficult season we're going to have. It's going to be a difficult season because the Saints got a first place schedule. That what comes with the territory when you're a champion, man. When you're a division champion, you get a tough schedule because you're playing against division champions. The New Orleans Saints, they got to step it up. I mean, they can't afford to be half-stepping, because if they do, they'll be on the outside looking in. And looking at some of these other teams in this division whose schedule is not as hard as the Saints, they can easily just sneak through the back door and possibly win this division. I mean, all it takes is some teams to get hot and probably peel off 4 or 5 or 6 straight wins. And the next thing you know, we're wondering, like, man, if are the Saints going to win this division? I think the Saints are going to win this division, because looking around at the state of this division, looking at the Carolina Panthers, how horrible they look, how bad Cam Newton look at the quarterback position. Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. We just seen the Atlanta Falcons lay an egg in Minnesota. So it looked like the Saints are the only team in the division that seemed like they got it together right now. So I think that the Saints need to take advantage of the fact that they're one of the teams that are very well assembled, and they just need to go out there and produce and get some wins, no doubt. Let's see. Young Nola said, tell the Saints to sign me. At what position you'll play, Young Nola? What they need to sign you at? What position? Cornerback, safety, linebacker? What position you playing? Cut Crawley, PJ, and Carr, man. PJ, Crawley, absolutely. I don't think they should have even made the 53-man roster. Let's see. What position y'all think I would play for the Saints? That's why I wanted to ask you, Young Nola, what position you think? I will have to know. I will have to know what size you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you like 170, 250, 260? We have to see what type of shape you in. So I don't know that just yet. We have to know your size and everything like that in order for us to know what position you'll play. All right, so let's see. Vander Esch over Davenport. Lathan Vander Esch is a good linebacker. I think he came from Boise State, a guy that a lot of people ain't really heard of. But he's him and Jalen Smith out there in Dallas, man. That's a dangerous duo right there. They're the new Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly, in my opinion. On a much lighter scale. I think these guys are young, and they're going to be problems for teams for years to come. I hate the Dallas Cowboys, but I got to admit, those are 2 dangerous linebackers. And they some headhunters, man. We seen what Jalen Smith did to Alvin Kamara in the last game, man. Almost knocked the man out cold. I don't know why he ain't getting no flag, but those guys some headhunters. I won't take that away from them. I watched the Panthers and Tampa game. We good. Yeah, I watched it too, man. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I went to sleep on the game. Between working and being a father, which is two full-time jobs. And if you count, man, just working at the radio station, that's 3 jobs. I had a full-time job. I ended up having a full-time job. My last day on my full-time job was on Wednesday. I decided to step down from that position to work full-time at the radio station where I've been at, because I wanted to follow my dreams, man. I've always wanted to do broadcasting. And I feel like I just wanted to go all in. I want to be able to make great content for you all, and I want to be the best radio personality I can be for the radio station I work at, which is WLGI in Hemingway, South Carolina. So I decided to really just follow my dreams, man. So, but anyway, I watched the game. I thought it was terrible. It put me to sleep. I had to watch the game because my homeboys, who I do the NFC South versus the NFL with, DJ and Mike, their teams were playing. DJ is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and Mike is a Carolina Panthers fan. And if you have not, please subscribe to that channel, which is the NFC South versus the NFL. We do that every Wednesday. We talk about the teams in the NFC South. Notice we don't have a Falcons fan in there because we all know that they don't have fans. But we do talk about the NFC South, and we talk about it, and we represent our team. So I give Saints news, and I give my opinion about the Saints, and we also kind of critique other teams in the division as well. So it's something interesting, man. You need to check that out if you have not already. But both of those teams look absolutely horrible. Cam Newton, on top of dressing like, I don't know, like a wife that is in distress, he has been playing like a man in distress. His shoulder is clearly bothering him. He wasn't mobile at all. I guess that injury to his leg in the preseason really was a big deal. I guess they were trying to cover that up. And to be honest with you, when Cam Newton was out here dressing like he was, we all got laughs and everything like that, but the laughs are a little bit more louder when you losing. Okay, you cannot dress like that and be losing. All right, I'm serious, man. If you're gonna dress like that, you need to be winning almost every game you play. You need to be playing lights out football every game if you're gonna dress like that. Honestly, he don't need to be dressing like that if you're gonna be losing and not even completing 50% of your passes and having a low QBR. You don't need to be dressing like that, because now that is a full topic of conversation, because now people can say, man, this dude dressed crazy, man. What's wrong with this dude? Like, Cam Newton losing his mind. But if you out there playing like an MVP, people would be like, man, he dressed funny. But he did throw for 4 touchdowns, and they'll leave it at that. But you cannot dress like that. You can't be around here dressed like Darkwing Duck and be out here not throwing touchdowns and throwing 2 picks. Nah, bro, that ain't cool. It's just not. So that's my opinion on Cam Newton. That's my opinion on the New Orleans Saints. Go ahead and wrap it up. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. If you have not already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Also follow the State of the Saints podcast on YouTube. I said YouTube. On Facebook. On Facebook. Go to facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate you for taking the time out on your Friday night just to spend a little time with your boy. And once again, you can always send questions. You can email them to me at stateofthesaints@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Looking forward to the Saints Los Angeles Rams game. Of course, we're going to go live immediately after that game. So hopefully I have some positive things to say about what I've seen out of the black and gold, and we all can celebrate the revenge game over the Rams. Till next time, all I have to say is, who dat? Good night, everybody.